Okay, so basic idea of humanism, basic tenets of humanism. I think it's somewhat okay. Basic tenets means humanism, briefly, it's linked with ethics, whatever ethical theories we are having. Because ethics is about giving dignity to human beings, in particular the deontological ethics. And even if you say virtue ethics, building different virtues as part of human character, you are focusing on, this individual virtue, associated character building. Definitely morality. Who decides what is right, what is wrong? Human beings decide. They are capable of deciding what is right, what is wrong. Man is the measure. Human is the measure of all things. And the centrality of human beings beyond anything else. Everything exists for human welfare. And in general, the majority of the humanistic models, they adopt a kind of positivist epistemology. Positivist epistemology means experience is the source of knowledge. Experience, human experience. Or human beings are capable of knowing anything. They don't believe in otherworldliness. It's not the transcendental entities which determine rights, wrongs, purpose of human life, anything. Many of them, or most of them, have got materialistic metaphysics. Means it's like this worldliness, human reason, experience. We decide what is right, what is wrong. These are the central tenets of, what is humanism. Unless we discuss few questions, you won't get the real feel of it. When I say this much is enough, you won't realize. And realize only when formatting a question. And we discussed like liberal humanism. Capitalism is humanistic, but not without critics. Marxian humanism, socialist humanism, that comes as a counter to liberal humanism, definitely. How the theory of alienation, it tries to establish how capitalism creates a the dehumanizing effect. Eamon Roy's humanism, strictly three or four lines based on the evolution theory. That's it. Positivist epistemology, materialistic metaphysics, man being the the top of the evolution, most nuanced being, human reason, human capacity. That's it. Ecological humanism. That is the perhaps the trend of the times. Development. It is linked to a development model. In contemporary discussion, when we always invoke the term sustainable development, or we emphasize on conservation of nature, the question comes, are we at par, or is the nature at par with human beings? If you say they are equal, at par with human beings, means that is the ecocentric, biocentric model, right? Biocentric model means nature is has got intrinsic value. It is an end in itself, as we discussed. Even you can cite some court judgments or these particular perspectives, and even briefly you can mention the ideas like Jainism for reinforcing that side. But reality is that ecological humanism means we conserve nature, but it's for the sake of humanity only. Even sustainable development means we focus on conserving. Why? Why? Because we are concerned. We need to ensure intergenerational and for the future generation as well. We are thinking after 100 years, how will humanity survive? That is human centric. Even though it is human centric, it indirectly needs to the conservation of nature. Clear, right? That is the model, sustainable development model. So generally, when you think about sustainable development, once I mentioned as well, 2, 3 days back, Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi was a critic of Western, what is perceived as Western model of development, whether it may be capitalism, whether it may be socialism. Development was largely economic and it was about mass production. Mass production means it's about converting the natural resources into consumable things, consumer products. So the final burden is being borne by the, the nature. So any model of development, the prominent model means, they are against nature, against the protection of nature. Before the mechanization of the world, mechanization of, let's say, agriculture or industrial revolution, see, automatically it's that there won't be much burden on the natural resources. That's it. But once after the advent of industrial revolution means, as a natural outcome of this, there will be mass production. Whether it may be capitalism. Capitalism means more, it's like, you are competing. Even today, you see nations competing for resources in the Arctic region, including us, India, definitely. So how it will affect? We cannot predict how it will affect. Even why we are bothered about, even sustainable development model means why we are bothered about the flora and fauna. Because they are of some value for us. They are of some value for us. Scientifically, when you study, you will get to know, even one species, right? In environment, you will be studying about keystone species. That will be numerically less, but it has got a disproportionate influence over the whole ecosystem. Right? Suppose there are no carnivores like tiger, there will be, the herbivores will be increasing in number. There will be, lot of proliferation will be there. So automatically it will affect the ecosystem, soil erosion. So definitely that earlier model of development means that is also humanistic. I would say the vision was less. When you make use of the term development, it was more about economic only. Then you see development. Did we develop in the capitalism? Yes. Economically we developed. But inequality was increasing. From the perspective of socialism, they will say that model of development, cannot be called as so. We need to redefine. We shall progress economically. As a whole, there shall be economic progress. Economic progress means still it's about harnessing the nature, right? Making use of the nature. This harnessing becomes exploitation later. Efficiently using and irrationally using. So those two models, development from the perspective of, let's say, Marxian idea, capitalism means economic development was there. When inequality increases, it cannot be called as development. That's it. Maybe you can say that the society is not progressing. Some people are economically progressing. Society as a whole is not progressing. Now, this is what we might be saying. Few people are getting rich. Many people are getting more and more poor. Their political rights mean they are merely on paper. So some kind of economic development is there. Society means that maybe new technology and all will be coming. But inequality means it cannot be treated as development. Even in an individual level, you see the idea of development or happiness, growth. It shall not be confined to merely economic. It shall be broadly defined. So when it comes to the level of state, nation, society, we will say HDI is a better indicator than we can say. Human development indices, level of inequality, education, social capital. Future, how future? How futuristic. And in Bhutan, there is the idea of gross national happiness, GNH. So there means even multiculturalism, pluralism, environment, everything, clean environment, everything is included. That seems much better, no? Sounds much better. So when you think about sustainable developmental model means the idea of development is being redefined. There are some goals, right? SDG goals 2030. You should know that. So SDG means it's a broader thing, environmental, gender, education, economic. 2030, right? Target SDG 2030. So the broadly you define means you see development. I would say it is humanistic only, but various other factors are included as part of it. You are seeing, right? The humanism is linked to the idea of development of humanity. And this the idea of development getting redefined through various prisms of different definitions of humanism. Now we can say that the existing model is earlier some year back a question was asked, which is the amongst the different models of humanism, which is the most relevant one, best one, which is the best one for us. Best one for us means the one you can write most number of points. You can show that I know different aspects of humanism. Oh yeah. No? Suppose you choose ecological humanism means you can definitely say something, the trend of the day. We can say that it contains the different positive aspects associated with liberal humanism, Marxian humanism, this Memon-Roy's humanism. This is our best model, right? Not the best model for humanity. Best model for us for clearing the exam. For humanity as well, you can include or you can compare different forms of humanism. So sustainable development model is at least the trend, and even in GS2 and 3, occasionally you will be, mentioning SDG in the conclusion or something. Everything becomes mechanical after a time. So okay, ecological humanism, right? You are seeing the difference, no? Everything, gender equality is also a part of it. And whatsoever you are studying, I discussed, right? HDI, gross domestic happiness, whatever it may be, they all can be integrated. That you won't see, in books, you won't see, you can integrate. Nothing wrong with that. This is actually gender studies discussion in a bit analytical way. In a bit analytical way. Nothing more than that. And you can briefly mention it has got, even though essentially it is not biocentrism, when it comes to the outcome, it has the elements of biocentrism. Not see, not in terms of the intent. When you speak about ideas like Campa, Campa, comprehensive, for in India it's there. Suppose you are removing forest for some purpose, you will spend some amount of money. A company has to spend some amount of money to create an ecosystem somewhere else like that. Compensatory forestation mechanism. So afforestation. So I don't know how things will turn out. Ecosystem is something which comes as a naturally evolves as a part of climax in ecological successions. Anyhow, you can see that, right? Elements of it. You can integrate. Now, suppose you are getting a question like this, you can compare with the different forms of humanism, write something about what ecological humanism is about, sustainable development is all about, linked with the power of human beings to think about green technology and all. That's human power. They are able to do compensatory mechanisms. Again, humanism. No? I have been expecting this question actually for many years. It's like this question had come. examine the philosophical thoughts associated with sustainable development. In ethics paper, it was asked, not like this. Take any one issue in environmental ethics and analyze that, explain that. So it everything means it comes through explanation. You can convey the other person means they go how it is overlapping sustainable development. You think like we are bothered about future generation, ethical as well as philosophical. We are trying to ensure intra-generational equity. Beyond the nation, we are thinking about the globalism. Samjho rahe ho na, sustainable. And also humanism. In philosophy, maybe in ethics you won't be writing. In philosophy, you can write like human reason, innovations, out of which we are compensating. You are making use of the resources. You are able to control adaptation and mitigation mechanisms. And means people collectively doing something. Everybody taking some amount of responsibility. Gandhian idea of minimalism. You are never treating, and in between, it implicates you are not treating nature as a mere means. I won't say it exactly by morality, but in effect, it comes so. Can create more. And also within this development, it's like we are treating equals equally, unequals unequally. Not same kind of goals for different nation, binding commitments for few only. Getting nothing big, simple thoughts into that. It you will give marks if you are writing like this. Whether it may be optional or ethics means here it overlaps actually in such kind of area. Manlo, you are thinking like this. You are getting a case study in environmental ethics. So whatever you are studying in paper two, in simple terms, these ideas, if it gets integrated one way or the other, and a few legislations that you come across in GS3, not the new unknown ones, prominent ones that are relatable. This is how actually minimal effort, maximum outcome. It's not about increasing the things that you do. What you know, everywhere it is useful. Okay, so this is what. But still, the advocates of nature centricism, ecocentrism believe it is not that ethical. We are not giving equal status to other beings on the earth. Conservation means they have intrinsic rights. But anyhow, you can vouch for ecological humanism, even though its intent in principle it is human centric. When it comes to outcome, it is as good as the nature centricism in conserving it. Got it? That's it. So will you support Gandhian model of development? Mass production or production by masses? Production by masses means the burden on the nature will be less. Minimalism. But our life will be totally different. See, electronic equipments. Everything comes from nature only. No? Everything comes from a cost only. Lithium battery, right? Purely nature centricism means we wouldn't have met. No? Without electronic equipment, how can how can you connect? How can you communicate with people? So progress. It's like the idea is like progress shall be there. Minimalism. Minimalism means maybe it's a kind of inner control only. You need to know where to put the full stop. Now, one thing we can foresee, because maybe in 10, 15 years, now we are thinking before writing something, formatting something. Maybe you are writing a letter. Now AI can do all these things. No? If you are giving a prompt, somebody is asking you to write a leave letter. करके दे देगा ना. If you are giving means without any grammar mistake, it will give you. But earlier means it used to be a kind of learning na, when you are writing something. That's another thing. Physical activity. Naturally, when you go to school or college, 1 or 2 kilometers walking, maybe the part of life. Now it's getting reduced. See, it's nobody's fault, but some people integrate. What if you observe that, we are missing out our own natural thinking capacity because of AI. वो तो है. We need to, conserve it. See, before the mobile era, few of you might be knowing. So it's like the phone numbers means, we used to have by heart in our minds because it's a necessity. Necessity. Mobiles were there, but if you want to call someone from somewhere means even you don't need even the books. Local booths से आप phone कर सकते हो. Now we cannot imagine. You think about your close family's mobile number. वो if newly taken means वो याद नहीं रहता है. Fine. So it's like, you know, somehow in any model of development means there is a kind of boundary of not missing out something. Capitalism means, yeah, competition is there. This is what we discuss, like, okay, ethical capitalism. Or when you go by, making use of the nature, it doesn't mean making use of the nature doesn't mean like you are exploiting it forever. Some boundary, right? Some idea of middle path shall be there. So anything. So this will be the kind of conclusions maybe we will be writing in 1 or 2 sentences. Gandhian idea of minimalism means issue is like we want progress. During his times as well, people were criticizing like being in the harmony with nature is a good thing, but humanism, human reason, capacity, we are able to translate technology into many other innovations, making life more convenient, medical equipments, everything is changing. So it's there, so maybe thinking all these aspects, maybe ecological humanism may be the relatively better model on that, right? It integrates the positives of all these things. Clear, no? Okay. Have you heard of the term multiculturalism? Many culture. What is culture actually? Indian constitution, is there a term culture, cultural rights? Is it there? Multi means many, na? Many culture. What is culture actually? Yeah, way of life. Culture means it's a broader thing. Maybe a person's beliefs, values, yeah, festival, language, everything, anything is a part of culture. Multiculturalism. Should it be promoted? I know everyone will say yes. Definitely, there is plurality of culture. It's a fact. Plurality of cultures is a fact. Whether it should be promoted or not, at this moment you will say yes, it should be promoted. Fine. But there are some counter arguments as well. Okay, we'll be back. Hmm. Yeah, every view is okay. This question, no, like, so we are defining things as a part of culture. How to define it exactly? When people with sociology or anthropology optional, when you deal with their interviews, definitely you can sense a relativistic bias. You remember the term now while discussing the religion and morality, absolutism versus relativism. Remember, no? So relativistic, when we say like, relativistic means everything from the lens of culture. Okay, one thing. Everything, way of life, festival, food. उसके नीचे देखो, are all cultures equally good? Pluralism means kind of good. Absolutism means naturally you see, will you uh, support, endorse any kind of practice through the prism of cultural relativism? A question आता है ना, whether this or that is better. If you tell like these two things are okay, when it comes to debate now with respect to food habit, veganism, vegetarianism, whatever it may be, it versus something else. The natural answer will be like, okay, equal. That is multiculturalism. And when it comes to human relations as well, you see the practices of like, oh, uh, maybe polygamy, polyandry. In new terminology means open relation, right? Some perspective means okay. From one cultural lens, it's okay. From another cultural lens means it's not okay. Yeah, yeah. Na? So this question means this is our debate. And what is the need of culture? When you think about beyond the culture, beyond everything, beyond the food habit, beyond the, what do you say, festivals, linguistic identity, beyond that, is there any kind of right or wrong which transcends all these things? Just like we discussed in the Rawlsian theory of justice. What did we do actually? There we were trying to find out rights of wrongs in the principles of justice independent of any kind of bias, any kind of conduct. Na? That was our aim. Remember na, that discussion? Abstract intelligence. Kantian ethics, deontological perspective. Is it culture centric or universal? So the answer is all cultures are equally good. If you say kind of equally good means when you study subjects like sociology, anthropology, a bit of pluralism will be there. Right? India is known for cultural variety, yeah, multicultural society. Culminate into regionalism. That's true. Here means if you ask culture versus nation, cultural identity versus national identity, you can say like, okay, the national identity itself promotes plurality, वो सब तो है, but citizenship or cultural identity, if you say citizenship stands above anything means one way or the other it is kind of not exactly against the multiculturalism. Okay. Okay, so simple example, to say culture, let's say you are born and brought up in particular part of India, all of us, you see, the perhaps the region from which you come, not only state, that district or that village or something, we follow some kind of practices. You celebrate some kind of festivals, certain kind of humor, you know, that's part of your life. Certain songs, movies, whatever it may be, food habit, maybe religion, sect of a religion, that constitutes that person, right? That individual is, is getting a job. Imagine you are posted at some other place. Definitely, 99% of the case, it is going to happen. Some other place where you are not born and brought up, not even your state, somewhere else. Suddenly, you go there, maybe your first instance, first exposure to somewhere else. Right? So, you are you are actually getting posted, your job is being started, but your prime thing as a career, it's like doing the job, meeting the targets. Definitely the facilities and the perks salary that an individual gets, that's also part of it. Maybe you feel too nostalgic or sad due to different culture, totally different culture, way of life. Hota hai na, it definitely happens. If you are calling home your parents and telling like everything is fine, job is fine, I am being respected, I am getting the salary, everything is there, but I am missing out something, I am unable to celebrate the festival, I am unable to speak my language, something else. Samir, so what sort of advice you might be getting? The kind of advice you might be getting is like, oh, so this is not your priority, your priority is something else. Maybe for a certain festival in your home state, it is celebrated like anything, you cherish the values underneath that cultural festival. You go elsewhere, maybe you are seeing like the office there, even not even a restricted holiday is being given. I feel like, means right from the childhood, I feel like this is something which is, and a religion, definitely you treat something as sacred, for other person means it's not at all so. Even the state is also feeling like, okay, there is no need to celebrate these things at all. But you will be seeing like some other festivals are celebrated. पता है ना? So you may feel like my identity, that is embedded. This way of life is embedded as a part of our identity. Identity. When you go at another place means either there is other culture which is the dominant culture, they naturally feel these things need not be tolerate. मतलब, not at all. उसको लग रहा है. Or even the state agencies, maybe they feel like this is not the priority. Festival or something else you can celebrate later. Even ये होता है ना, food items को लेके भी people may make fun of each other. मतलब like, यार तुम ये खाते हो वो खाते हो, it happens. Multiculturalism and all are controversial discussions, whatever it may be. Fine, it happens. Now you should empathize with those people who are posted somewhere else, getting jobs somewhere else. They feel like missing something. But what if you are in a place, in a country, or a state in which you are getting enough? Oh, they are acknowledging. Oh, this also needs to be celebrated. This सब कुछ celebrate करनी चाहिए. We can allow restricted all day for that, or we will also take part in the celebration. We also respect the celebration. We also respect your values. I would say just as an extension of Indian model of secularism, recognizing the plurality. Why? Maybe, if it is recognized, maybe your output will increase, no? Your output in the work may increase actually because, your identity is being recognized. Else we will feel like, why should I work here? Many conflicts arise like this, no? stereotyping people belong to, particular language, ethnicity, anything. Many conflicts arise. One thing is that if you recognize the culture, see, we, we are not in pro support or against it. If recognized, such things can happen. Because culture, not for one, many people, as a part of being something born and brought up, some values will be there. If people value, the traditional value, family value system, respecting elders, not the kind of modern kind of relations, liberal relations. So it's like it can be a cultural conflict, even in families as well. होता है ना, in different, you know, let's say live in relation or something means conflicts will be there. But from one perspective, they will say it is justified. Other perspective, it is not justified. Suppose you think from the perspective of a institution like state. This is our demand. Now you got now something becomes part of human, gets embedded in a human personality. It derives a sense of good living in the culture in which a particular individual is born and brought up. And that becomes a part, he starts identifying with these things. This speaking this language, that language, that's part of it. Maybe you will be suddenly feeling like human goals are beyond this. Say, I'm so secure, nothing wrong with that. That is actually against the idea of multiculturalism. I am saying that idea of multiculturalism is ethical or unethical, nothing I am saying. There are two views actually with respect to whether you should promote or not. See, that's the equivalent of your parents' advice. Na? They're advising like, okay, तुम ये सब पे ध्यान मत दो. You either you try to align with the dominant culture. You have reached that place. Majority is celebrating something else. You try to accustom with that. Or it's like you don't bother any of these things. You focus on your work. This is for what you are there. See, Rawlsian approach. It may be like, okay, my goals are something else, socio developmental goals, economic goals, political goals. This is not the priority. But sometimes you feel like, the ideas, the fundamentals. It's like, yeah, it is getting compromised. I cannot work. My identity is not being recognized. I cannot work. My values and the values of the people in the office are total conflicting with each other. ये होता है ना? It happens. Multiculturalism means it's about recognizing everything. As a fact, it exists. It shall be promoted. Mostly, it is political. Why do we recognize if you own a company, people from different places are there? You suddenly sense like, the people from particular place, they feel like alienated. You are sensing. They are giving you output. You create those conditions like they can work properly. मतलब that restricted all day for that arch दे दिया उसको. So you will, maybe it's like, yeah, recognition is there and you are sending, you are, wishing a message or something. But if the dominant culture is not liking that, maybe तो होता है ना, why should, maybe, different groups, how different groups exist together, it's a matter of context, political scenario, everything. If you think about the history of Sri Lanka, LTT issue, it traces the roots. It's like Tamil speaking people in northern part of northern provinces of Sri Lanka. Earlier, they went for labor from India in Sri Lanka. During the British rule, the Sinhalese majority, They felt like they didn't get enough during the British. Soon after their independence, as a kind of identity assertion, Sinhala majority identifying the country in that fashion. I think now people have one identity, another identity. Many of the countries in the Europe where the issues had arisen, Yugoslavia and all, people belonging to different ethnicity, language. See, after the independence, when East Pakistan and West Pakistan, when they were separated, geographically separated, one is Bangladesh, other is Pakistan. You know, the Bengali speaking population, new country was created. Their identity, when you think about the past of that language and the freedom movement, when you think about, luminary persons like Tagore, it's part of their identity. When you're imposing a language at the cost of East Pakistan's, that identity, they will react actually. In fact, despite being a very small party, Sheikh Hasina's father, Mujibur Rahman, during that time means in one among the elections, they got huge share even to govern the West Pakistan, even, despite being a smaller state compared to that. Imposition. I don't know today how much it is embedded, but then means you know everywhere it happens. The identity. We don't know which identity is going to prevail. Maybe you won't be having that much of identifying yourself with the language. It varies from person to person. When the questions like whether Hindi shall be made compulsory or not, it depends upon how much you identify yourself with a particular language. समझ रहे हो ना? That's the case. And when these things operate, in the national level, let it be any country, ethnicity, food habit. Many a times, derogatory remarks are also being made about one culture by the other. वो तो I cannot cite the examples. You should imagine that. वो तो सही नहीं है. Can see that actually, right? No, that is against the idea of national integration. So why should it be promoted? Definitely, you think from the perspective of that employee working somewhere else. They should feel they belong there for the betterment of that company. If you are the company owner, you will do that, not one side. So, chalo, let's promote. And you may be thinking like, suppose there is another issue, like the some other cultural identity, they don't like this culture being recognized. That may not be their fault. क्योंकि इसका जो beliefs है, that will be in total contrast with that of the other. The culture which feels like excluded, that culture may be, dominating, means feels like other cultures are not as good as this. So, iska cultural right, if you are recognizing, other people may not like. So, if you run the company, means you need to invent the innovative models. Either like let them work in other department. ये होता है ना, just like solving seaside problem. A and B will go together, C and A go together. When you run means यार सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. That's it. You invent. Diversity is preserved, not much of interaction. Right? जैसे सलाद बनाते हो, right? Tomato, cucumber, gajar, radish, everything. Everything is there. So integrate needs, yeah. Pluralism is maintained. Or it may be like you are observing. let them interact together and allow the interaction between, if possible, if there are no huge differences, if possible. Like two of you are asking, okay, okay, UP, you like Malayalam songs, okay. ठीक है, two cultures. Or other one, people marrying from two different religions promote multicultural. See, everything you see that's encouraging and arriving at a common culture. वो भी तो होता है. You are the company owner, ठीक है ना? You need outcome. You need outcome. You are beyond all. You need profit. You need the company to flourish. So you think whether to promote. And तो if somebody people start fighting companies at the loss, तब क्या बोलोगे? यार कोई festival कुछ नहीं. I need outcome. That's it. That's another thing. Which suits you better, right? Slowly getting now. It's actually a political question. How far in the context of a nation, how far we are represented here? Let's say you are the prime minister or president of a country with very less population. Very less population. You don't have any working people to promote that, make use of the resources to flourish. Your policy to migration policy will be more liberal. And when people from different countries come, you'll say like everybody's identity will be recognized. Everybody's identity will be recognized. A sense of good living people will derive out of it. You may create legislations for ensuring that there is no forced assimilation. You know the term assimilation? Assimilation means asking the minority to concur with what is the prominent norms. See, it's very easy to tell like pluralism shall be there. But when you run a country, when you understand the minds of the people, and when your goals are beyond the cultural rights, it's like you look for political and economic goals. We think beyond that actually at times. At times we think in an absolutist fashion. Okay, so our question is multiculturalism in the what you call as in the descriptive sense. Descriptive sense means you are observing. Okay, many cultures are there. There is no doubt. People speaking different language, belief system, food habit, dressing style. Definitely culture, human person, human being. Not everyone will be too abstract. We will have some kind of cultural belongingness. Why to recognize? I would say one to avoid conflict. State is recognizing everyone is having cultural. Or then you can think like to prevent assimilation, force the assimilation into the dominant culture. Cultural rights shall be preserved. Maybe to avoid, the violence, or in the positive sense to ensure that these people also belong to this country. Migrants. Let's say if migrants want to build a place of worship, that is not that does not represent the dominant religion there. State is promoting means that is multiculturalism to ensure that they feel belong, a kind of belongingness and contribute to the nation. I am strictly speaking it in ends based perspective. देखो ends based क्योंकि lesser conflict, more contribution to the country to prevent assimilation, right? Security threats, and even modern day, I would say, soft power credentials. ये सब होता है ना multicultural countries means don't know some reason people say good, play according to the game. And which model of multiculturalism is it? That also is a question. It's very easy to say कि if let's say in a joint family, siblings, cousins, everyone doing something, some business or something, so yeah, they fight amongst themselves. There will be cousins who can never go together. So उसके लिए we need to invent a model so that everyone shall be there. Easiest thing will be like let them interact with each other. They will arrive at one common culture. Generally USA. Earlier days means identify with that culture, something like melting pot. Melting pot means, right, the most nutritious food. Melting pot model. You are having rice, you are having different vegetable, dal, you are putting in the cooker, जिसको खाना बनाना नहीं आता है, they will make khichdi, that's it. Combining everything. Salad means, okay, this identity is being maintained. But that melting pot means it's a kind of assimilation only. Arriving at one culture feels like that is more feasible. But it depends which are the cultures, as you are saying, whether they can coexist. When two cultures are in the opposites, they come to a nation, we will be saying like, uh, you keep it, some people belong to this culture, they stay here, others stay there. Just like the different provinces in Sri Lanka, right? Even though I would say Indian states have been created according to language, when people from different languages interact, not everywhere the conflicts will arise. People try to, learn as well, right? Try to learn, know about the other culture. And I would say because of the, the Netflix, Amazon Prime and all, people watch different movies. So, सबको, even the, I don't watch, क्या बोलते हैं उसका ना, that series, ना, that series ही बोलते हैं ना, web series. So people, watch different languages, just like we watch in the film festivals and all. Korean movie, Iranian movie, कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा, but so many people are so passionate about it. Maybe पसंद है, but beyond one movie, two movie देखना मुश्किल है. But you see that times, the times of film, many people see lot. Okay, so because of this, what happens is like, people see, try to interact, know the other. We saw Bhakti and Sufi, Bhakti Sufi movement in the Indian history. They interacted, and it's believed that definitely they exchanged some cultural practices without compromising their identity. Without compromising their identity. It said that the yogic practices were absorbed by, the Sufis. Some commonality as well, you can see music as a means of invoking God. That is the best model. Na? Differences are there. Naturally, they are, engaging like anything. Right? Naturally engaging like anything. One model, unity is there, means identity is there, diversity is also respected. It's like, oh, this is your identity, this differences, oh, ये चीज मुझे अच्छा लगा, okay, that's fine. Okay, no, this is the positives, different, but model. But on the other side means what is the issue, you see? See, it's a very delicate problem. If naturally a country or a society, if they have coexisted amongst the differences, despite the differences, state, society always precedes, majority of the times it precedes the state. In a society, already, if there is the, the tradition of multiculturalism, when the state is creating a law, means it has to work. It will work. No law will work if majority tradition is not accepting it. That's all. or you need that much of will, power for that, political will or power for that. But they go how to balance. It's not a panchayat settlement. Nation, Deshalana means it's a very difficult task. Even you think about running a company, people from different states, places working, maybe different religion, identities, views, their views on gender, opposite views, never reconcilable views. We won't compromise. If you are compromising with this, then we'll say that the work culture is not good. So balancing, think about different models. How much we can do, how much one can do. Even the political identity needs to be represented of every group means, will not it turn out to be something like the separate electorates? We need every identity demands like we need this much percent of representation, then only we can have control over our voice needs to be heard there. Unless somebody is in legislation, everything is determined by laws. Unless your identity is not represented in the lawmaking process. Chalo, theek hai, for representing that, you gave something for a particular identity. See, demands for states, demands for different schedules. You can see in India, be in the six. So, if you give for state due to some reason, identity-based state, if you are giving means, others will feel deprived. We have been asking this for many years, but given to something. So there will be more protest, security threats will arise. Separatism, the problem of separatism in across the world. It's like mostly arises from my identity is not being recognized. See, Pakistan, Baluch identity. So your recognition means if you keep recognizing each and everyone, maybe your goals will get postponed. It's a delicate issue. If you're recognizing one, other will feel deprived. This is what yesterday was discussing. They may be well off, right? Some protests regarding reservation policies and all. One group recognized at the political level, other group feel like, why not us? Again, issues. So when you run a nation, you may feel like, is it our priority? Is not citizenship the major thing? We need to deal with this many identities. It's not practically possible. That also may be the thought. Unless multiculturalism, coexistence of diversity without much issues, if it's not part of the society or the normal, if it is not part of your culture, peaceful coexistence, it's very difficult. And this multicultural right means it's a kind of group right given to religious right, language right. Just like we discussed the pluralistic theory of sovereignty, na? You can't intervene into some of the religious practices or festivals you feel like they are regressive. And within that, religion or something, if gender inequality or something is there, intervention means it might be interpreted like uh, imposing a culture or not recognition of that cultural identity. Let's say that because of some practice, gender inequality, untouchability, something is there. Intervention and decision. So individual rights may get compromised because of this. If the state wants to change something, some kind of progressive, the so-called progressive, from where does it come? It transcends the culture, it's not relativism. If you see through the cultural lens means it can also happen. One will be at the control of some outdated cultural practice. Conflicts naturally will arise. Keep on recognizing it. Okay, you think. Yeah, you should be curious about this because it's very difficult in the future. When you are in the service as well in different places means may have to deal with different kinds of issues. See, just that's why just gave the example of running a small company. You are about ensuring the profit of the company, definitely, and ensure that the people who are employed there, they shall get promotion, they shall get much better. That's your prime target. If promotion of multiculturalism, you are ready to adopt any kind of model to that extent, any kind of model that minimizes differences, minimizes alienation, so that everyone will be benefited. Should be promoted for that. If you feel like, okay, if you feel like actually uh, the promotion of this thing is going to hamper, adversely affect for no reason. How far can you promote each and every culture? से आपको सोच आ जाता है. It's difficult actually. Then why should it be promoted? This is the reason why I was saying it's very easy to say yes, but when you are, you know, thinking from the perspective of state, and many times ये होता है कि political parties करेंगे कि it will get, linked with identity politics as well, any kind of identity. मतलब, whichever may be the nation in a particular province, you are able to gain the vote. That's it. Yeah, many reasons are. So it's a complicated issue. The issues, these kind of symbols, they can invoke emotions actually. They can invoke emotions. And definitely, since anywhere democracy is about numbers, things will be linked. And these emotions are for obvious reason, for a person born and brought up in a particular culture. You think that example. So you are posted somewhere else. I say socio. You feel like my goal is to, run the system well. उसके लिए कि if you are thinking from the perspective of that entrepreneur or somebody who is posted at a particular place, your career goals are clear. You will promote multiculturalism to that extent the productivity can be increased. See, human personality is like that. We are not abstract beings. We identify with some belief systems and all. But the more, kind of cosmopolitan you are able to identify with different things. मतलब है कि you presume, people think like this, think like that. That's better for our own betterment. देखो, सही बात है कि if you know many languages, you are the end beneficiary. ऐसे भी सोच सकते हैं, you are the end beneficiary. जो ज्यादा भाषा नहीं सीखेगा, they will be forced to, align with the same group only. If you think from the perspective of your growth, that's another thing. But है कि when something is embedded in you, it's like somebody is forcing you to eat something, not eat something, learn this language, follow this tradition, that tradition. That's why I was saying, we don't know whether human beings are purely target oriented or again going to human personality. Other things also we will love. No? Just like you say, I need this food, that food, I want to see this cinema. Then only if my identity is not recognized, how far, I can contribute to that system. Insulting identity disregard. Fine. Generally it said that Indian model of multiculturalism. Some scholars say that it is the mosaic model. Salad bowl में होता है कि they are not integrated. They exist. They exist in different pockets. In Indian cities as well, you can see different pockets. People from different, regions staying, different states staying in different places. In Delhi, there is an area, CR Park. There means majority people from Bengal. And OR, civil service area that is, it was Rajendra Nagar. And there means many Punjabi residents are there. So Rajendra becomes Rajinder. If you see their autovalas and all, say Rajinder Nagar. So that slang will. So people from different areas live. And Karolbag region near there means there is a Tamilian population there. So even though people live in pockets, there is free interaction without any kind of conflicts. But in mosaic means that's the thing actually. Mosaic, like nowadays means you won't see mosaic flooring, mostly tile. So mosaic means diversity is there, but they are bound together under one identity, what we call as unity in diversity. But unity and diversity in a single day, it cannot come actually. If you see from the historic times, let you take the paper when we studied this many philosophical systems. One of them purely materialistic, atheistic, criticizing other systems like anything. Buddhism with some difference. Schools of Vedanta, they are having differences. When Bhakti and Sufi in the medieval period. So traditions existed through exchanges without compromising their identity. If it is possible as a tradition, see, there are exceptions in India. There is no doubt in that. It's not like, we need to always think about the best. But this model somehow worked to some extent. So that's the reason why, when it is being made part of the constitution as well, a bit easy for the state to implement. I won't say that it is all perfect or something. When you write the exam means you will be saying, but cases are there, right? Europe kind of salad bowl promoted multiculturalism. Issues are there. USA and even within Sri Lanka, history, everything is linked to history as well as I was saying. Sinhala, the country means adopted in language, official language. And earlier I was discussing about Singapore. Earlier, no, last week, I was mentioning a person as well. The first prime minister. उसका मॉडल ये था कि strong bureaucracy, zero corruption, and बाकी है कि promotion of multiculturalism. Even Tamil is recognized as a language there in Singapore. So कि ठीक है, multiculturalism, strong bureaucracy, somehow it worked, but it's not necessary in long term. What will happen? Now clear, na? Multiculturalism should be promoted. Some models are there. No, see, traditionally it is believed that USA, traditionally, they believe in the melting pot model, integration and arrive at homogenization is any. But you cannot generalize nowadays. Countries like maybe Britain, European countries, salad bowl model. Canada, they say unity in diversity. India means definitely when you say unity in diversity, right from childhood we have been studying, and to some extent it is correct also. But enough. Okay, you got the basic idea enough. ज्यादा बोलना नहीं है इसमें, so it's fine. Understand. Yeah, strict separation of religion and state. So no problem. We are not going to intervene into your secularism. No? Western model of secularism means we are not going to intervene into the space of religion. Secularism as a topic is there. I would say secularism, maybe, it is a subset of multiculturalism in that sense. In that sense. See, even the case of sexual orientation, no? Traditionally, if you go by what you say as Victorian morality, one morality means the orientation, LGBT rights, homosexuality, they will be treated as deviant, unethical. Nowadays, only the other side is gaining currency everywhere. To say this kind of nowadays means it's okay. The sexual orientation needs to be recognized. That also culture. You feel like this homosexual, the same sex marriage, I mean, they are totally out of the thoughts, right? From one perspective. We need to understand this. If you need to arrive at conclusions, think, many issues from now on, you follow the newspaper where you can see separatism, you can see sectarian conflicts, you can see religious persecutions, this kind of orientation, linguistic issue. From now on, just observe through the prism of multiculturalism, what we discussed, bus, right? Here, we don't need conclusions. I need to create awareness, that's all. Always a political issue, controversial issue, right? Okay, so secularism, you study in your GS paper, na? What is the difference between Indian model and why secularism? Secularism means essentially Western model means separation of state from religion. When will you feel that? Bodin felt that, na? Jean Bodin. You remember that? The first one who introduced the idea of secularism in the West. Wars in the name of religion, persecution in the name of religion. When somebody is making some good innovation, treating it as a kind of blasphemy, and the power gets multiplied when it gets intertwined with the state, because state is creating the laws. End of the day, the state matters. So, state and religion, at times you may feel it as a deadly combination. That too, monarchy and theocracy combined. And that too, monarchy is not like the philosopher king. Separation. Feel like I should promote the, scientists, good doctors. They are inventing lot of medicines, surgical practice, surgery practices. On the other hand, they are seeing, faith healing, even for a grave disease. You are inventing medicine, other person is saying faith healing. If you ask, why can't we try otherwise? Why can't we go by the scientific research? Everyone is entitled, religious person is also. Tell like, give him strong punishment, but state also. Theocratic states, it happens. When you live in a theocratic state, definitely you will feel like there shall be separation from religion and the state. Secularism has an idea. Definitely, it is humanistic, compatible with the idea of humanism, because it believes in the capacity of human reason. It focuses on this world, compatible with that, I'm saying. Totally against theocracy, right? Just like the question of multiculturalism, you will feel like you have religious rights. You restrict it to your room, that's it. Maybe if you run a company and everybody starts asking leave for religious festival, everybody, company, and also they start fighting among themselves, argument, half an hour, 1 hour, means they are, religion means it's like everyone feels own religion is perfect. Others means they feel the बाकी religion देखने से it is superstition. वही normal thought आता है ना. My religion means it's very scientific. Other person's religion means it's full of superstition. So they start arguing. You are the owner of the company. Again, like तुम अपने घर पे रखे आ जाओ बस. Here means you need to work. Here I will create something that is neutral. If I want to give leave for this festival, that festival, it is up to me. After 6 p.m., you celebrate any festival. That's it. ये होता है, this is actually separation. I don't have any objection with that. In case if you are practicing a religion, a religious activity, somebody is trust getting into your house, attacking you, then we will do something, right, in the personal sphere. Suppose your company means lot of people, religious people, religion has been part of their life, perhaps to a large extent, they have coexisted peacefully, they are delivering better if you are recognizing their identity, they are delivering better. See, when it comes to work, it's fine. Matlab, not beyond to some extent, if you simply wish them their festivals, you are arranging lunch or giving a restricted order, they are doing well. Not giving any speciality to any particular religion. Company is saying that as a policy, every religious festival will be celebrated. You should, you sense their emotions that if it is celebrated, they feel a sense of belonging. Let's make it their right. Sarva dharma, right? Every dharma can coexist peacefully. But what if some tradition is creating, there are some issues in some tradition. You are more friendly with them, you are giving the rights. उसको आप बुला के बोल सकते हो, you can tell like your religion is inherently good. The practice that you are following is some, deviating from your basic religious principle. तो उसको हटाओ, we can intervene in it. You are not hurting. You are simply that saying that the essential, your or essentially your religion does not demand that. It's very progressive. So you just usko change kar do. You can, that gives you more freedom to intervene. Means it's like you are making use of religious identity, recognizing the religious identity as the company owner, and making them contribute more. In between, if you feel like something is against scientific temper or gender perspective, means you convince them that your identity will be intact, only I am just changing this procedure, this practice. What it, we will continue tomorrow.